After spending 15 years at Tech Vantage, Marjorie Thompson informed me that my role was being reorganized, her tone revealing barely hidden pleasure. She positioned herself opposite me in the compact meeting space, accompanied by Denise representing human resources, both displaying rehearsed expressions of professional sympathy. The organization is pursuing a different strategic path, Denise explained, pushing a beige document holder toward me. Your work has been appreciated, but we're merging the research department with the product creation group. I acknowledged this with a calm nod, taking the folder without examining its contents. Within would be the typical separation offer, 14 days compensation for each year served, medical benefits extending 3 months forward, and a compilation of career guidance services I had no intention of utilizing. I fully comprehend the situation, I responded, maintaining vocal steadiness. Such choices are invariably difficult. Their faces showed immediate relief. They had obviously anticipated emotional displays, objections, or fury. After all, they were dismissing a 55-year-old female professional from the technology sector, where youthfulness was valued over accumulated wisdom. What remained unknown to them was my preparation for this occasion across recent weeks, particularly since an incorrectly routed electronic correspondence chain had reached my mailbox the previous month. We require you to remove your belongings by week's end, Marjorie proceeded, emboldened by my seeming cooperation. We'll require return of your access badge, company computer, and mobile device upon departure. Your group will receive notification this same afternoon. My group consisted of 6 exceptional engineers whom I had individually selected and guided across the years. These same individuals had assisted me in creating the distributed processing methodology that currently supported Tech Vantage's primary offering, AccountSphere, financial management software utilized by more than 40% of America's largest corporations. Certainly, I stated, standing from my seat. Do you require anything additional? They looked at each other, obviously surprised by my self-control. Marjorie responded initially. That concludes our discussion. We appreciate your professional handling of this matter. Walking toward my workspace, I moved past the transparent walled meeting space where senior management was assembled. Beyond the clear partition, I observed CEO Victor Lawson making emphatic gestures toward a presentation screen labeled Quarterly Earnings Forecasts. This same Victor Lawson who had claimed ownership of my methodology at the previous year's professional gathering, mentioning me merely as among our research personnel. I secured my workspace door and retrieved my personal mobile device, transmitting a brief text communication. The situation is unfolding. My final day arrives Friday. The reply arrived instantly. Excellent coordination. Documentation is prepared. Evening meal tonight for completing arrangements. I expressed satisfaction while examining the schedule displayed on my workspace furniture. The current day was Wednesday. Friday would mark my final presence at Tech Vantage. And Monday promised to be intriguing. That same evening, I encountered Gregory Sullivan at Meridian, an exclusive dining establishment distant from Tech Vantage's business location. As chief executive of Precision Systems, Tech Vantage's primary business rival, Greg appreciated the importance of confidentiality. He had arranged a secluded dining section in the rear, concealed from observing individuals by sophisticated Japanese partitions. They proceeded with their plan, Greg stated, expressing disbelief after we placed our meal selections. I anticipated this possibility, but terminating the individual who invented their fundamental technology. Victor never grasped what I genuinely developed, I answered, consuming my water. He perceived the execution, the customer interface, the commercial possibilities, but the foundational structure, that remained merely technical content for him. The situation was almost excessively fitting. 3 months previously, I uncovered that the patent documentation for my distributed processing methodology had never been submitted by Tech Vantage's legal division. An administrative error, they had stated when I raised questions. They had promised immediate resolution, but something regarding their explanation had felt suspicious, motivating me to examine the organization's internal records. That's when I located it. A planning document detailing intentions to designate the methodology as organizationally developed technology without individual inventor identification. They had intended to remove me before obtaining the patent, understanding intellectual property created by personnel generally belonged to the organization. What Tech Vantage remained unaware of was my concurrent work on methodology refinements during my personal time utilizing my private equipment. Those enhancements, which substantially increased processing capability by 43%, weren't included in my employment contract. I had discreetly submitted for patent protection under my personal identity the previous month, comprehensively documented with time records and creation logs that definitively demonstrated the work was accomplished outside organizational time. The patent had been approved with exceptional rapidity thanks to Greg's connection to an elite intellectual property lawyer. All the documentation is completed, Greg stated presently, moving a folder toward me. Upon your signature, Precision Systems formally obtains exclusive authorization rights to your patent. The public announcement releases Monday morning declaring you as our new Chief Innovation Officer. I examined the materials thoroughly, though I had previously memorized the essential conditions: a 7-figure initial payment, considerable ownership in Precision Systems, and continuing payments from all offerings utilizing my methodology. What do you imagine Victor's expression will reveal when he comprehends what has transpired? Greg inquired, unable to conceal his pleasure at the possibility. I'm more troubled about my group, I confessed. They don't merit being trapped in the consequences. Greg acknowledged. Already resolved. We have openings for all 6 individuals if they're receptive. Advanced roles with considerable salary increases. I signed the concluding page and secured the folder. In one sophisticated action, I had guaranteed my future, safeguarded my group, and obtained recognition for my contributions. To fresh starts, Greg said, elevating his beverage. And to controlling your personal worth, I contributed, touching my beverage against his. Thursday and Friday progressed in rapid succession of termination discussions, information sharing sessions, and farewells to professional associates. I sustained my professional demeanor throughout, even as speculation circulated across the organization. Administrative personnel offered me compassionate looks in the corridors. Junior programmers approached uncomfortably, requesting if I'd supply professional networking endorsements before my exit. I recorded everything carefully, every initiative, every access code, every procedure, understanding completely that Tech Vantage would shortly realize exactly how comprehensive they required me to be. My choice to provide extensive transition documentation wasn't generosity. It was proof. Proof that I had functioned in genuine faith while the organization had not. During my concluding termination discussion on Friday afternoon, Denise from Human Resources proceeded through the routine checklist with automatic effectiveness. You comprehend that any intellectual property created during your employment stays the possession of Tech Vantage, she declared, moving a confidentiality contract toward me. Naturally, I responded agreeably. Anything created within the boundaries of my employment utilizing organizational resources during organizational time. I highlighted those specifications somewhat, but Denise was too occupied marking items to observe. And you confirm you possess no duplicates of confidential organizational information? I have removed nothing that belongs to Tech Vantage, I verified honestly. The patent was mine regardless. As I collected the personal belongings from my workspace, family photographs, a collection of professional gathering credentials marking 15 years of professional occasions, the beverage container my group had presented me the previous December. Marjorie appeared, positioning herself against my entrance frame with manufactured casualness. I simply wanted to verify that everything's understood for your exit, she stated, observing me position belongings into a cardboard container. Perfectly understood, I responded, protecting a small recognition I'd obtained for the precise methodology now at the foundation of my intentions. The situation wasn't overlooked by me as I carefully positioned it between protective paper layers. You understand, Kira, these reorganization choices are never individual, Marjorie proceeded. Victor believes the organization requires to advance in a more youthful orientation. I raised my view, encountering her observation directly. I comprehend entirely. Commerce is commerce. Something in my delivery made her hesitate. For a momentary instant, doubt appeared across her features, but she rapidly rejected it. What could a nearly unemployed 55-year-old female professional potentially accomplish? Will you be receiving some social period off? She inquired, and manufactured tone of worry in her speech. Actually, I already possess something arranged, I responded. I begin Monday. Oh, surprise appeared on her features. That's rapid. Anything noteworthy? I expressed satisfaction. Extremely. A management role. I'm considerably enthusiastic about it. She acknowledged absently, already psychologically advancing to different subjects. Well, favorable fortune with that. As I departed from Tech Vantage's transparent headquarters for the concluding time, access badge relinquished and personal possessions carried, I paused momentarily to observe back at the structure where I'd invested 15 years of my profession. On the uppermost level, I could observe the senior management meeting space illuminated for an evening session, probably discussing how to redistribute my duties among younger, less seasoned, and substantially less costly personnel. They had minimal awareness that in less than 72 hours, that identical space would be conducting an urgent crisis session instead. Monday morning arrived luminous and cloudless. I dressed deliberately in my new charcoal business attire, a commanding ensemble I'd acquired particularly for this occasion. The Precision Systems transportation vehicle arrived exactly at 7:30 morning hours to transport me to their headquarters, where I'd commence my initial day as Chief Innovation Officer. The public announcement activated at 7 morning hours. Greg notified me as I positioned myself into my new corner workspace with expansive ceiling windows. Professional publications are already capturing it. I've arranged the communications group monitoring responses. The declaration had been constructed with calculated exactness. Precision Systems obtains exclusive authorization to groundbreaking processing methodology. Welcomes inventor Dr. Kira Jennings as Chief Innovation Officer. It specified my background, highlighted my function as the exclusive creator of the protected technology, and described how Precision Systems would be incorporating the methodology into their subsequent generation of offerings. Most significantly, it explicitly indicated that any organization currently utilizing the technology would require to arrange authorization contracts with Precision Systems advancing forward at exactly 9:15 morning hours. My mobile device illuminated with the initial text from my previous group at Tech Vantage. Total disorder here. What did you accomplish? It originated from Miguel, my principal programmer. I expressed satisfaction, responding back. Examine your personal electronic mail. All 6 of you possess proposals waiting. Meanwhile, 8 miles distant at Tech Vantage headquarters, the arranged Monday morning senior management session was experiencing a significant transformation. According to Miguel's continuous update throughout the morning, Victor had reached the workplace to locate the organization's principal legal advisor and chief financial administrator waiting at his entrance, both appearing extremely distressed. The professional declaration had reached their mailboxes concurrently, triggering immediate concerns. By 9:30 morning hours, what should have been a standard week-beginning session had transformed into an urgent crisis gathering. Board participants were connecting remotely. The legal group was desperately examining my employment contract and the records surrounding the methodology's creation. They're retrieving every document with your identity on it, Miguel communicated. Someone just transported in all the computers from the research division for the technical group to examine. I could visualize the situation flawlessly, Victor moving around the meeting space, requesting clarifications from Marjorie and the legal division. The company's shares would already be responding to the information. Financial backers disliked ambiguity, and the declaration had generated substantial amounts of it. At 10:45 morning hours, I obtained an electronic message from Victor himself. The urgency practically radiating from my display. Kira, there seems to be a confusion. Please contact me at your soonest opportunity to discuss. I transmitted it to Precision Systems legal group without replying. By midday, the professional community was active with conjecture. Tech Vantage company shares had decreased 7% since the market commenced, while Precision Systems had experienced a 12% elevation. 3 separate technology publications had solicited discussions with me about the calculated accomplishment that had disturbed the financial management software sector. How are you experiencing? Greg inquired, appearing by my workspace as I positioned myself in. Confirmed, I responded truthfully. 15 years of observing others claim ownership of my contributions, of being informed I should be thankful merely to possess a position at the discussion, and now finally acknowledgement. My new senior administrative aide manifested at the entrance. Dr. Jennings, the creation group is prepared for you in the principal meeting space. And she paused. Tech Vantage chief executive has contacted 4 occasions in the previous hour. Please inform him I'm in sessions all day, I responded peacefully. I'll arrange our legal group reach out to discuss authorization possibilities later this week. As I proceeded toward my initial session as Chief Innovation Officer, my mobile device vibrated with another update from Miguel. Board just contacted urgent gathering. Victor appears like he's about to become extremely agitated. Postscript. My group and I accept your proposal. When can we commence? By Tuesday morning, the complete consequences of my exit had become evident to everyone at Tech Vantage. Their primary offering, Account Sphere, depended completely on my methodology to handle the enormous information collections that provided it an advantage over business rivals. Without authorization rights to my patent, they confronted 2 similarly disagreeable alternatives. Arrange with Precision Systems or reconstruct their fundamental technology from initial stages, a procedure that would require years and millions in creation expenses. Victor has contacted an organization-wide session for 2 afternoon hours. Miguel transmitted. It was his concluding day at Tech Vantage. He and the remainder of my previous group would be commencing at Precision Systems next Monday. Speculation is they're going to attempt to pursue legal action against you. I transmitted his communication to our legal division, who replied almost instantly. Allow them to attempt. Your records are flawless. Creation logs, personal equipment, all explicitly demonstrate scenario. Meanwhile, I was positioning into my new function with notable comfort. The consideration I obtained at Precision Systems was a dramatic difference to my concluding years at Tech Vantage. When I communicated in sessions, individuals genuinely paid attention. My concepts weren't repackaged by male professional associates and displayed as their personal. My maturity and background were regarded as advantages rather than disadvantages. The programming group is executing your capability enhancements, Greg notified me during our afternoon discussion. Initial evaluation demonstrates a 51% performance increase, even superior than we anticipated. I had multiple refinements I never communicated with Tech Vantage, I confessed. After I uncovered they were intending to terminate my role, I perceived no justification to provide them my optimal contributions. Their disadvantage, our advantage, Greg responded with a pleased expression. Discussing which, the initial authorization inquiry arrived this morning. Not from Tech Vantage yet. They're still in refusal, but from Dataflow Systems. They're troubled about being captured in the conflict. At 3:30 afternoon hours, Miguel transmitted a comprehensive account of Victor's organization-wide session. The chief executive had attempted to display assurance, guaranteeing the personnel that Tech Vantage would energetically protect our exclusive technology, but the concern in the space had been obvious. Multiple personnel had already modified their professional networking profiles. Detecting the organization's weakness, Marjorie appeared like she was about to lose consciousness when someone inquired directly if they'd be unsuccessful to obtain the patent. Miguel communicated Victor terminated the inquiry interval shortly after that. By Wednesday, the professional consequences had strengthened. 2 significant customers had contacted Precision Systems about transitioning from account sphere, troubled about Tech Vantage's capacity to sustain the offering without the methodology's inventor. Our company's shares had elevated another 8% while Tech Vantage's preceded its reduction. I obtained a contact from Denise in Human Resources, the identical female professional who had moved my separation offer toward me just days previously. Kira, she commenced, her speech deliberately professional. I'm contacting to discuss the circumstances with your patent. We believe there may have been a confusion about possession rights. I don't believe there's any confusion, I responded peacefully. My employment contract explicitly indicates that intellectual property created on my personal time utilizing my personal resources stays mine. The patent records validates exactly that. Victor was anticipating you might contemplate arriving in to discuss alternatives. Any discussions would require to proceed through Precision Systems legal division presently. I replied. I'm confident they'd be satisfied to arrange a session to discuss authorization conditions. The quietness on the opposite end communicated substantial meaning. Eventually, Denise exhaled. I'll transmit that forward. That afternoon, I conducted my initial structured display to Precision Systems leadership directors, describing our technology strategy with my methodology at its foundation. As I positioned assuredly at the front of the discussion, not concealed in the rear as I had been at Tech Vantage, I noticed Greg's endorsing gesture. By Friday, just 1 week after I had exited from Tech Vantage for the concluding time, the organization had entered complete crisis condition. Their company shares had descended 23% from Monday's commencing signal, activating troubled contacts from significant financial backers. Professional experts were releasing conjectural compositions with headings like, "Can Tech Vantage persist through the methodology crisis?" and "How one calculated mistake may expense a technology corporation everything." Through my professional connections, I discovered that Victor had eventually recognized the seriousness of the circumstances to the leadership. Tech Vantage would require to either authorize my methodology from Precision Systems probably at excessive rates that would devastate their earnings boundaries or undertake a total reconstruction of account sphere without utilizing any technology included by my patent. They've commenced interviewing for a new creation group. Miguel notified me during our Friday visual contact where we discussed his approaching transition to Precision Systems. Victor's asserting they can recreate the capability in 6 months. I couldn't restrain amusement. The initial methodology required me 3 years to perfect. And that was with close understanding of the challenge domain. Precisely. Miguel concurred. Nobody's accepting the schedule, particularly after your group displayed their departure communication concurrently. The understanding depletion is enormous. That afternoon, Tech Vantage legal representatives eventually contacted to Precision Systems to commence a conversation about potential authorization arrangements. Our legal group, adhering to the approach we had created, replied with conditions that were technically reasonable but calculated painful. 3 occasions the routine professional authorization rate, plus a public recognition of my function as the technology's creator. They'll resist at the recognition more than the expense, Greg anticipated as we examined the reply in his workspace. Victor's self-importance won't permit him to confess he removed the individual who invented their fundamental technology. Then they'll have to reconstruct, I responded. And every day they invest attempting to duplicate my contributions is another day we extend our advantage in the commercial sector. The subsequent Monday morning, 10 days after my unceremonious termination, I conducted the initial session with my recently assembled innovation group, which incorporated Miguel and the other 5 engineers from Tech Vantage. The atmosphere in the space was energetic as we outlined the subsequent advancement of my methodology. "This is how creation sessions should function," remarked Anita, one of my previous group participants. "At Tech Vantage, we invested half our duration clarifying fundamental concepts to senior managers who wouldn't pay attention regardless." "That's the distinction between being appreciated and being perceived as substitutable," I responded. "Here, your proficiency is acknowledged." As we concluded the productive gathering, my aide manifested at the entrance. "Dr. Jennings, there's been a substantial progression with Tech Vantage. Their leadership just declared an urgent management modification. Victor Lawson is resigning effective instantly." The information circulated rapidly within hours in professional publications were communicating that Tech Vantage's leadership had forfeited assurance in Victor's management subsequent to the patent negligence that endangered the organization's primary offering. Marjorie Thompson was also terminated along with the principal of legal who had unsuccessful to appropriately obtain the patent. That evening, I obtained an unexpected electronic message from Richard Donovan, Tech Vantage's recently designated temporary chief executive. Unlike Victor's urgent communication from the previous week, this one was direct and considerate. "Dr. Jennings, congratulations on your new role. I've been introduced to assist Tech Vantage navigate the present circumstances. I'd prefer to discuss a reasonable authorization arrangement for your protected technology. We're prepared to recognize your achievements publicly and create suitable corrections for the negligences of previous management. Would you be accessible to encounter next week?" I transmitted the electronic message to Greg, including a brief notation. "Initial phase accomplished." His response arrived rapidly. "Magnificently performed. To commemorating your initial significant achievement for precision systems. Appears like Tech Vantage is eventually discovering in costly instruction about appreciating innovation and creators." 3 months after my exit from Tech Vantage, I positioned on the platform at the National Technology Innovation Conference, preparing to present the principal address. The viewers was occupied with professional commanders, technology reporters, and ambitious programmers, numerous of whom presently understood my narrative. "And presently I'm satisfied to present our principal speaker," the conference coordinator declared. Dr. Kira Jennings, Chief Innovation Officer at Precision Systems and inventor of the distributed processing methodology that has transformed information management across multiple sectors. The recognition was considerable as I approached the speaking platform. What a distinction a few months could generate. Previous year, I had participated in this identical conference as component of the Tech Vantage representation, positioned in the rear, while Victor presented a display about his organization's innovations. Appreciation. I commenced surveying the observant features. Today, I desire to communicate about innovation possession and the significance of appropriately appreciating intellectual achievements regardless of where they originate from. My display specified the technical characteristics of my methodology, but also addressed the wider subjects of acknowledgement and consideration in the technology domain. Without directly referencing Tech Vantage, I highlighted the significance of organizations safeguarding their creators rather than perceiving them as substitutable resources. Subsequently, during the social gathering, multiple young female engineers approached me requesting guidance and instruction. One of them, scarcely 30, shared, "Your narrative modified how I record my contributions." I commenced maintaining comprehensive logs of my creation procedure on personal time. "Intelligent," I responded. "Your innovations merit safeguarding." As the evening terminated, I examined my mobile device to locate an professional information notification. Tech Vantage had eventually declared the authorization contract with Precision Systems, recognizing me by identity as the methodology's inventor. Their company's shares had stabilized, though at a substantially reduced assessment than before my exit. 1 year to the occasion after being informed to remove my workspace, I positioned in my extensive workspace at Precision Systems examining the quarterly innovation communication. Under my management, the organization had distributed 3 revolutionary offerings constructed on my methodology, obtaining substantial commercial portion from Tech Vantage and other business rivals. A sound at my entrance interrupted my examination. It was Greg maintaining a container of sparkling wine and 2 beverage holders. "Happy commemoration," he stated, positioning the beverage holders on my workspace furniture. "The leadership requested me to communicate the information with you individually before the public declaration. Precision Systems has formally exceeded Tech Vantage in commercial assessment for the initial occasion in organization history. I expressed satisfaction, experiencing not achievement, but a peaceful contentment. That's what transpires when you appreciate innovation appropriately." As Greg distributed the sparkling wine, my aide transported a sophisticated container. Within was an invitation to communicate at Women in Technology's annual management conference. The subject, controlling your intellectual worth, how appropriate records modified in sector. You've transformed into something of an symbol, you understand, Greg remarked, observing the invitation. The narrative about the senior manager who didn't acknowledge what she possessed until it was removed, has transformed into a warning narrative in organizational leadership spaces. Richard Donovan, who had stayed as Tech Vantage's chief executive after the emergency, had executed comprehensive modifications in how the organization acknowledged and compensated innovation. Their new regulations on intellectual property safeguarding and creator acknowledgement were allegedly designed after the initiative I had established at Precision Systems. It was never about retaliation. I stated, elevating my beverage holder in a celebration. It was about acknowledgement, about demonstrating the sector that innovation isn't anonymous. It originates from genuine individuals who merit genuine recognition. To appropriate acknowledgement, Greg concurred, touching his beverage holder against mine. As the afternoon sunlight entered through my workspace transparent surfaces, I contemplated on my progression. At 56, I had eventually located what had evaded me throughout my profession. Not just accomplishment, but recognition. My identity was presently permanently connected to the methodology that had modified in sector exactly where it belonged.